Endless Space 2 has really cool system design, interesting and extremely varied factions, and some of the best presentation in the history of the 4X genre. In a lot of ways, it's a triumph. But the AI leaves something to be desired for me. It's very passive, rarely threatening, and not good enough at generating resources or manipulating the game systems to get any of the internal victory conditions before the heat death of the universe. This isn't necessarily a problem for everyone, right? People engage with these games in different ways, have different expectations of the AI opponents, and have different amounts of time to devote to these games to learn their systems and really dig into them. But it's definitely a problem for me, because I want to be able to spend a bunch of time with a game, learn the systems, get really good at them, and still feel like my AI opponents could legitimately beat me. I want to have to work for a victory. So, rather than sit here and be bummed out that the AI is not the thing that I want it to be, I'm going to try to change it. But before I do that, I feel like I need to answer a couple of questions. Question number one, this is very important. Is this crazy hubris? Like, what makes me think I could do this if the team of talented developers at Amplitude couldn't? Well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it is the case that developers couldn't. I just think they weren't trying to do this thing at all. The AI that they built is aimed toward a different purpose. And the thing that I'm trying to do here is not as difficult or complicated as what they were doing. Building up the systems from scratch and the AI from scratch and all that. They had to design and plan and build a house. I'm just trying to repaint one. Which leads to question two, how do we do that? How do we repaint the house? Well, I spent a couple of hours on this weekend. The devs have made some resources available for this purpose, and I'll link those in the description of the video in case you're curious. The process is a little bit technical, but in a former life I was an enterprise software engineer, so I have some relevant experience. I'm familiar with the tools. That's the good news. The bad news is that the scale of the problem here is significant. To be perfectly honest, I don't even really know where to start. My first inclination is to just play a bunch of games while periodically prying open the AI's brain case and looking inside until I kind of understand how it currently thinks, and then just try to correct the areas where it seems weakest. So I tried that. What you're seeing before you here is the game save from the end of the first episode of our most recent Vaulters game. I figured this early in the game we have an established but relatively simple game state, so this would be a good place to start, right? Here's a graph of just the Sophon Empire's thought process at the end of turn 23. So you see here, this is kind of like the basic thoughts of the AI. They're like, I have this motivation to improve my military capabilities. One way I'm going to do that is by buying the manpower upgrade. So I'm going to accumulate the money and the strategic resources necessary to purchase that upgrade on the fleet screen, right? And then it has this thought, I want to increase my empire research. This is the box for the thoughts that are about laws. I want to increase my empire research. Well, we have a law for that. Let's get the Cram Exam Act, right? And you look at it, and it's like, well, that's not that complicated, right? We have some other thoughts about laws and some other motivations going on here and some ideas. And then you scroll, and you scroll, and you just keep looking at all these thoughts. And then you think, you know what? My scrolling arm's getting tired. Let's zoom the problem out a little bit. And this is where it kind of turns into an episode of Chart Party. It just keeps going like that. See, here's the problem. Playing a 4X game is just really, really complex. It's extremely complicated. So, for now, this is still the plan. I'm just gonna get familiar with how the AI thinks before I can start making changes, right? That seems sensible to me. But at this point, it seems like an approach that could take a while to produce anything, and unfortunately, it's not going to output anything interesting or watchable in terms of video. I want this to be a process, the whole thing I'm doing here, to be a process where I can report back as I make progress. Partially because that is a good way of motivating myself to continue making progress. But I just don't have any kind of plan for what that might look like right now. I hope that I will be able to return with something to show, because I think there's an interesting process here that is worth documenting. But I have no idea how to talk about this part where I'm just learning what needs to be done. So what I'm saying here in this video is that I have met the problem, it is large, and I am working on it. And I have every intention of coming back with something, but for the moment it might just seem like I'm disappearing into the depths on this. So I guess I will see you all next time I have something to report.